All right, guys. Yeah, big game, playoff game. Um, this is why we do what we do, is to be, part of these type of games, these big games like this. Division rival, team that we know well. They know us well. Played them twice in the last 4 weeks or something like that. So, um, but we're excited about the opportunity. It's a big challenge. I think they're a really good offense, um, and we've got our work cut out for us. But we're excited about it.
What predominantly are you guys talking about from the last couple games to straighten out going into the playoffs?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think just consistency in what we're doing. Um, yeah, and getting off the field on third down. I think that's probably been probably the biggest issue that we've had. I mean, part of it is we've played some really good teams the last couple of weeks, some really good offenses. And yet last week we played a team that we held them to 19 points. So, um, and ultimately that's what the goal is to limit the points and give yourself a chance to win.
And DA, what makes them so good on third down? Why are they so efficient at a clip of about 50%?
Yeah, well, I think they've got good skill players that are tough matchups, and I think the quarterback does a really good job of getting the ball out and getting it to the right people. He sees the field really well, um, and understands the coverage and knows where to go with the ball, and he throws the ball with timing and accuracy. And so I think that's why they're a good third down team.
Is there much you can glean from last week's game? Do you watch that film? I mean, like they had no 4 or 5 offensive linemen were playing. No.
Yeah, look, I mean, we looked at it all, and yet I think you kind of take everything in totality, and specifically the games against us, and really how they went about trying to attack us, and so I think we pay a lot of attention to that, and yet we look at the games that they've played since we last played, even though it wasn't the same group or the same quarterback out there.
How do you account for Kyler this week as you're putting the game plan together?
Yeah, I mean, I think our plan is to have him be a part of it. Today will really be the first day that we get out there and go practice, get a chance to see him move around. But I'm excited about, getting him back in the fold and seeing what he can do.
What would having Kyler back into the defense?
Yeah, it gives us another playmaker. Obviously it's been unfortunate that we haven't had him much, this season. But he was a guy that coming into the season we were really excited about, and I feel like, he can help us make some plays and help us win.
You mentioned the bottom line on the Lions game being that you held them to 19 points. How do you weigh that with some of the long possessions they had, some of the inability to get off on third down?
Yeah, I mean, well, ultimately you look at points allowed. That's the number one thing. And look, it's not always as clean as we want it to be, not always as pretty as we want it to be. But our job is to give us an opportunity to win. And look, those things are all. There's a lot of things that go into those things. There's us being able to get off the field. I think the last couple of weeks we've kind of hit a deal where we haven't done a good job of getting off the field, and we hadn't maintained possession as much offensively as we have in a lot of games. So that's how some of that stuff works, and yet we had a chance to win both of those games. Comes down to the very end of the game, and you have a chance to win. Sometimes you're going to win those, sometimes you're not. But I think the more often you put yourself in those positions to have an opportunity to win, the better your opportunities are.
Tyreek's snap count has gone down kind of steadily the last couple of weeks to where he didn't play at all last week. Why is that?
Well, I think we got Jalen back. That's part of it, and I think Nashawn Wright's played really well. And so, but there'll be a plan in place for Tyreek. We'll see how the game plays out. But I think all those guys have to be ready to play.
Earn a series or do more to get out there?
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to whatever opportunities any of us get, taking advantage of those opportunities. So I know he's preparing really hard this week. Like I said, today's the first day we'll go out and practice, but I think he's in the right mindset, and hopefully he'll go out there and take advantage of whatever opportunities he gets.
Is he the right fit in this defense? Have you found something out during the season that would lead you?
Well, look, I mean, I think when the season started, none of us thought Nashawn Wright was going to play the way that he played. So I think some of that has to do with, Jalen being out and then Nashawn Wright playing really well, and so you kind of go with a hot hand a little bit.
Dennis, I think it's talked about his own health, saying that he just hasn't felt quite right.
Who's that?
Jalen Johnson come back obviously from the injury. And how do you account for that as a play caller? And how does that impact your defensive stylings for each game? Just knowing that he's not at his top form yet.
Yeah, I think you got to take all those things into account. But he's working extremely hard, and he's given us everything that he has, and I expect him to be able to do the same thing. I think each week he gets a little bit better.
Dennis, given that Jordan has missed basically the last 3 weeks at quarterback, what are you anticipating? What is your messaging become at this stage in the season as he comes off that concussion?
Yeah, I think we're ready to defend the Green Bay offense and the things that they like to do with him. I don't think anything's really going to change in terms of how they go about game plan or how they want to try to attack us. I think they'll stick with their plan. All right, thanks, guys.
So the slow starts have been a topic of conversation, but you guys got off to a great start when Green Bay was here a few weeks ago. When you look back at that drive all the way up until fourth down, what stood out to you about why you guys were able to get humming?
Yeah, I think we came out, we were ready to go that night, and certainly that's what we've been looking for, in the previous games as well. Can't point at one specific thing that's causing that, and yet it's a huge point of emphasis for our guys really going into this game, knowing what kind of game this is. In these playoff games, you really can't put, if you start slow, a lot of times you give the ball back to them and you can put your defense in a really challenging position. And so the biggest thing with us playing complementary football is us getting out to that fast start, having urgency right from the first snap, and being able to go out and execute the plan, really execute the openers and be able to go put points on the board.
Ben said there were 6 mental errors on the first 11 plays. Like, what were they?
They were really at all spots. I mean, it wasn't specific to one group. There were a number of things, whether that was, alignment, or that might be, where we were going in relation to where the quarterback expected us to be. But certainly not clean, not our brand of football, not what our expectation is, especially at this point in the season. And that was expressed to our guys, and they know that. But the biggest thing is we got to come out, we got to put that behind us, and we have to go back to work.
What do you chalk that up to? Is that nerves?
I don't know if that's nerves. I think sometimes that happens. Obviously, you don't want it to happen late in the year. You want to be kind of at the point now where, we're kind of a machine and we're just rolling. But adversity strikes, and I thought our guys did a good job of responding later in the game. But it's just got to happen earlier. You can't put yourself in that spot and be climbing back into games, especially late in the season like this.
What's Colson's level next to you guys as a playmaker for this offense?
Yeah, he's very reliable. He's a friendly target to throw to. We talk about that a lot. He's a big player with big catch radius, and you don't see a lot of tight ends that can do both. He does a really good job in the run game. I think that's that's probably an unsung part of his game. That when you turn the tape on, it's really impressive for him, a guy that can threaten you on third down, and yet on base downs can help you and be an extension of the offensive line. And the biggest thing is, you know what to expect out of the player. He's a guy that you trust in big moments, and we've loved having him.
Is this the type of option you thought you were getting when you guys selected him, or you did there?
Absolutely. That was what showed up on tape throughout his college tape, and you hope that a player develops into that. And he's certainly, met our expectations, and he still has meat on the bone as far as his growth.
On the interception, Jervis might look like he's double. What's kind of the talking point or the coaching point for Cam?
Yeah, he's reading that. Basically, we're running a double move on the safety. If we feel like we have leverage, we can flatten the receiver for that. And so he let that ball go, and that was his decision. Going back and looking at it, obviously Durham pops open, and so hindsight being 20/20, with a clicker in your hand, you can say, "Hey, Durham's open. Let's go ahead and get the ball there." That was a situation where you really never want to go back and sit there and second guess a guy a lot, but you do want to learn from that moving forward. And if we feel like we're in a similar situation, maybe our eyes progress to that over, we plug that, and then it's an explosive play.
Declan, with the start you guys had Sunday, felt like some uncharacteristic sloppiness early. What do you make of it when you go back and look through it?
Yeah, I think it was. You don't want to make nothing of it. I think it's the biggest thing is that it's a point of emphasis, and this would be our first day out on the field again, practicing. We were going to walk through setting yesterday, but the biggest thing is we're going to get what we practice all week, and so starting fast is about our focus during the week. Finishing the prep and finalizing that, feeling really good about going and playing fast on Sunday, and so and Saturday specific to this week, but. That's the biggest thing. We have to refocus our guys, and things are going to happen. Ups and downs happen all the time, and it's about how we respond to that.
How do you reintegrate Rome into this offense if he's able to go Saturday?
Yeah, it's a good question. Really, you don't want to be giving him way too much, and yet he's a guy that can help us. And so we'll be evaluating that over the next 3 days of practice as we get to kind of finalize this plan and put that stuff together. Anytime that he can be a part of it, you certainly want to be able to use him and maximize the time that he's out on the field and get him the ball. But really, it's the same with all of our players. We always have plays for each guy specifically, and we're excited to have him back.
How valuable is just this offense running off the field? There's so many rookies in my guys. What about his playoff experience? Me not kind of telling him what's about.
Yeah, Joe has meant a lot to our offense. He's meant a lot, both on the field with the offensive line and being able to communicate and talk in the meeting room and things like that. And then also just his experience in the league. I mean, this is a guy that has won. I think there's been one season that he's been in the league that he hasn't won his division. So it's a guy that's been in multiple successful organizations that knows what winning looks like. He's very open to sharing that with his teammates. And I think that guys are open ears when they have a guy like that with pelts on the wall. But he's been outstanding for our offense.
How has Green Bay's defense been impacted without Micah, and how have they changed?
Obviously, losing a player of that caliber, things have to change just a little bit. You've seen some tweaks schematically. A lot of early on, they were trying to really put you in these one-on-one situations where they could get Micah isolated. They have shifted slightly, and yet the rest of the unit is still a really good unit. They're good on defense. They're good on the back end. I think the front is very talented, certainly, and the backers fly around. We certainly feel like they're a worthy adversary. Our hands are full, and yet we feel like we can go out and attack this defense.
Is it the shift with handling the blitz differently that they're presenting?
Really, they present the looks on critical downs and some other things a little bit differently than when they had him, and yet there's a lot of elements that have remained the same with Halfley in the defense.
You guys have the most productive rushing offense in the conference. Watch this sort of build up and ground up. What's most significant to you of watching this thing emerge and evolve to where you're going to the playoffs feeling really good about it?
Yeah, I think you just go back to the fundamentals that we've been preaching since we got here, and that's not a sexy answer, and yet that really is what it is. It's our ability to come off the ball all in unison, be communicating. Our backs on their tracks, our perimeter players being willing to strike. It gives you confidence going into a game like this, especially you're playing a defense for really like the third time in 6 weeks. But certainly feel comfortable with our run game and want to be able to utilize that as a strength.
With Colston, just back to Chris's question really quick. As you look back on the season now, and I know it took him a couple weeks to get going, was that just a byproduct of figuring out, of him trying to learn an NFL offense, of you guys trying to figure out how to use your tight ends? Like, once he got going, it felt like he didn't really stop.
Yeah, I think it was, it may be a little bit of both. We certainly, as we felt more comfortable with him in some of those bigger spots, we started to move him around a little bit more. Early on, there were plenty of opportunities for him on the sheet, and yet sometimes it just, that's how it goes. Coverage doesn't dictate that the ball goes there. As the season progressed and he became, very reliable for us, and we trust him, he's found himself in some more of those spots, and he's taken advantage of that. He'll continue to do so, and like I said before, he's just a guy that we trust.
When did you know you could trust him on like those critical for third and fourth down?
I think it was early in the season. Even in training camp, you kind of know what each piece is. That opinion evolves as time goes on, but There were certainly some critical third downs early in the year. You know, I'm thinking of like Cincinnati and some of those times where he's got to go win one-on-one, and he does a great job of doing it. And you're looking at the tape and you're like, all right, well, if we get in this situation again, and especially with the quarterback looking at it, he's like, hey, I trust this guy. You know, let's put him in these positions to go make plays for us.
What has Caleb's urgency been like this week?
He's been outstanding. The biggest thing is that it doesn't change because it's a playoff atmosphere, because things ramp up. You don't want everything to be different. You want it to be routine. You want it to be, hey, this is, we've been building to this point, and he's been locked in, and we're excited to go see him play.
What did you see and feel through your lens before the game started?
Yeah, I mean, you're standing on the field and it's pregame, and you can feel, the electricity in the air. It's a division rival. They're in our place, and we're certainly looking forward to an atmosphere like that on Saturday night.
With this kind of weather forecast for this weekend, what do you tell your guys punting and kicking about gusts and just handling the elements?
Yeah, just exciting time. Great opportunity to play, especially at home. Know our crowd will be rocking. Wind, weather, it's what we do all the time. So just tell them to play the conditions and be ready to help the team.
Do they make any particular adjustments in those kind of conditions? Let's say gusts are 20 miles an hour plus.
I mean, we make some, but I mean, it's like we expect it. We expect it in our stadium. Gusts, nasty winds, just like last time we played, and just be prepared to play them. Just be prepared. That's all I really tell them, and just learn, make sure you know the wind patterns in pregame and how they change throughout the game because they change constantly.
Their kickoff coverage has been one of their stronger special teams unit. What makes them such a challenge?
Physical downhill unit. They play with really aggressive tactics and techniques, and they do a really nice job in that phase, and we're looking forward to that battle.
Cairo turned his dirty kicks into a weapon. What's significant to you about the way he's approached that and worked on it?
Just the fact that he has so much variety and different things that we can do with that. So that has been a weapon for us, and we expect it to be going forward as well.
When you see him fired up, getting one of those when you get a touchback to the 20 and he comes off the field all juiced.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I'm juiced with him. I mean, that was phenomenal. Did it for his last kick of the game, last game, and that's what we want to do. Every chance we get, we want to try to set the field position, and that was an excellent job in the fourth quarter there.
Since you've been with Ben, what have you observed about the way that he kind of pushes the right buttons to get motivation and the emotional charge out of this group?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Since you've been with Ben, what have you observed about the way that he kind of pushes the right buttons to motivate the group, to inspire them, to get the best out of them each week?
Yeah, he's got a great feel for the team. I think he's done a great job with this football team. I think we also have great guys in the locker room that are inspired, and they're hungry, and they want to make their presence felt, and they want to make a name for themselves. So I just think, we got a hell of an opportunity this week, and we got to take advantage of it.
What do you tell them? You got a lot of young players in your room. You've been in big-time playoff games. What's kind of your message in terms of how to approach the playoff limelight?
Yeah, just tell them to embrace their environment, enjoy it. It's a special game, especially because it's only the third time in this rivalry that it's been done in the playoffs. So just to realize the opportunity that they've been blessed with, and go out, and once the ball's kicked off, it's just football from there. But as you know, in all playoff ball, divisional round, wild card round, NFC championship, Super Bowls, the margin for error is slimmer. So you just got to be on your details, techniques, fundamentals, and be excited to play the game is what I tell them.
A lot of kickers can struggle with it in the emotions and intensity of the playoffs. What makes Cairo unique in the ability to be unfazed seemingly?
Yeah, I think that's just who he is as a person. He's an unfazed individual. He's very resilient. He's been through a lot in his career. He is a great example of what we want our room to look like in terms of battling. In this league, you got to battle. You got to battle week in and week out. As soon as you think you got it figured out, then there's another challenge. So that's what's so great. That's why we're looking forward to this matchup. I mean, we got a lot of respect for their unit. We've had 2 good matchups so far, and we're expecting a third.
Richard, do you guys go down to Soldier during the week ahead of a game like this to get kicks in and just get?
Sometimes we do. It just depends on if we feel like we need it or not. But we'll do whatever we can. Like I said in the past, I'll do whatever we can within the rules and what's morally right to get wins. Because all I care about is winning. Can't say. Yeah.
Building off Kevin's question, that game that you had with the 49ers 4 years ago at Lambeau Field, what does that represent for you as a coach?
Well, I mean, first of all, like I guess it represents. It's more about the players than it is for me as a coach. Um, but obviously, that was an outstanding performance by those guys. Um, Talanoa, Hufunga, all those different guys that went on to do great things, Debo in their career and all of that. I've been really blessed, and that's one of those games where I feel like, um, I was just really proud of what those guys did in that moment. And the good thing is every time you line up, you got a chance to put what you think you are on tape. So um, I think it's more about the guys, but I appreciate the question. It's definitely a special moment, special game in my heart. But
The last time the Bears hosted a playoff game, it was the Philadelphia game. Do you remember what you were thinking about the double doink situation?
yeah, not much. You know what I mean? You hate. I mean, obviously, I know the history of it and everything, and you hate to see any player go through that. And I've obviously got a strong affinity for Chicago. Always have. Um, so, I mean, I always want to see this city, win. So, we're aware of what happened there, and we want to bring a home win, playoff win to the city. All right, thank y'all.